Fingers crossed.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Logic Apps Live for November and December 2025 this time. Yes, you cannot see me, but you can see all the other PMs that join us here today. I'm having some difficulties with my computer. So we have a packed full agenda, right? There is a lot of things that we showed that we show on Ignite and some other things that we didn't have time to show in Ignite to show you today. So without further ado, let's go and take a quick look at our agenda. So we're going to, as usual, talk about the Ace Aviator of the month, but in this time it's like a twice because last year in October we didn't have a show. We have a much bigger thing with the community day. So we now have Ace Aviators for November and December to share with you all. Then we have some community updates, right? And then I'm going to be talking quickly about clone to consumption. After that, Divya and Kent has lots of MS Ignite updates, and Harold has some hybrid updates to bring to you. So let's go. So in November, we had all Gonian as the Ace Aviator, right? So Al is a senior integration consultant at Arinco. He's been doing a lot of work in multiple areas of integration and sharing a lot of documentation around and articles around many areas of Logic Apps, right? So for him, community really helps to solidify so those hard-won lessons into reusable practice, right? So sharing that and learning from the peers is something that really strengthens his work. So he really values that community work. When I asked him about like what helped him to grow, or things that you would say to new people, would be like focus on learning speed instead of titles, right? So choose problems that stretch you out and deliver in small steps. So with that, you're going to be learning a lot more about those items, right? And one thing that is super important, document everything, right? How many of us went into the place where go back to the documentation 6 months later, and that's what saved you from something that you already solved in the past. The last one is like when I asking about uh, the magic wand for logic apps, he was talking about the idea of introducing stateful sessions and decisions. So actually having built-in sessions across multiple workflows with durable correlation, right, with native decision activities across those multiple workflows. And one thing that is really close to my heart, everything that you do on that area, have a local first developer experience of fast tracking. So I think that's on that one, he was getting kind of a mix of what we have today in business process tracking in a single tool. It's an interesting concept. So food for thought for us. Then in December, just like at the beginning of this week, we highlighted Daniel Jonathan from Synext, right? Daniel is writing a lot of other items and he's really focusing on developer experience. You're going to find some work from him on containerizing logic apps for development and testing. So he's doing a lot of work. If you're not following Daniel, I would look into doing that on LinkedIn. So for him, community is a place that is open and friendly and full of knowledge, right? So sharing content, but also learning from the community is super important for him. The way that he grows in his area is starting small and staying consistent. So try to learn the basics, and after that, you can start it like a digging into things more complex. And finally, on the issue of the magic wand, he talked about having an overview page in the VS Code experience. So kind of mimics a little bit of what you do in the portal. Once you start in debugging, you can go and click on those URLs. He even created a little extension that does that, right? So has some ideas there that we from product group might be interested in looking at and learning. So thanks, Daniel and all for all the content that you share over this year, and everyone, just both the DAs aviators and the community in general. We never been shy of content to share this whole year. Thanks to you all. Let's go to the next one. So let's talk quickly about some of the community updates. As you can remember, last October, we didn't have a Logic Apps Live, but actually have a full Logic Apps Day, right? And now the sessions for Logic Apps Community Day are available on YouTube. You can watch the whole 4 hours or so of show, or you can go and watch each one of your favorites if you go to LA Community Day 25/playlist. So you can find all of the individual sessions there for you to take a look. Another area from community that we've been having some updates is our Logic Apps Labs, which is the an open source area for tutorials and workshops. Like the team our team has been busy adding content there as well. And we created a full set around agent loop and AI using Logic Apps there. You're going to find anything from all the latest on agent loops features. Some of the things that Divya and Kent is going to show, you already have modules available there for you to go and learn more, right? And we have anything from basic to advanced topics. You can look into conversation agents, autonomous agents, MCP servers, like all of agents, patterns, and best practices, and all of that is available there for you. Uh, we also have updates on the agent in a day, right? With the new features come like the H-way chat. So if you wanted to run either yourself or for your customers of your team a full day workshop to create an agent, you can use the agent in a day workshop that is also available on the Logic Apps Labs. So go to aka.ms/LA Labs and you can find all of that goodness. Also, if you wanted to contribute like that as an open source, fork the content, create some of the content and share with us with a PR, and we can review, evaluate, and add it to that. Now let's talk about some of the features that have been that you publish during November and around Ignite. So the first one is a small one before we're talking about a lot of the agentic stuff that we created for during this time is the cloning consumption to standard feature. So some people still really likes the idea of using consumption to create small proof of concepts or to start the development there, or they might need it to start small and the consumption model really helps. But at some point, a lot of you wanted to move uh, into Logic Apps Standard. And although we have a way to do that for bigger projects or projects where you needed to work to use Visual Studio Code, we didn't have support of that in Portal, right? So now we have a clone consumption Logic Apps to standard workflows directly in the portal, ready for you to do that. So that allows Portal developers to move individual consumption Logic Apps into standard workflow. So the idea is preserving everything originally. So that's why we're calling that a cloning. It's not an export, it's not an upgrade. Your original stays there. You have full control when and how that is going to be moved or removed after you do all your testing. The destination workflows goes to the Logic Apps standard, but stays there disabled. So you can review, you can adjust, you can decide when you're going to be connecting one to the other, right? And one thing that is super important to keep here is we cloning the connection definition, but we're removing the configuration for that because we don't want it to bring uh, uh, any kind of credentials that you might have. And also the you might wanted to point that to different resources if you wanted to keep like testing, doing A/B test or keep it then separately. So you have the ability to reconfigure all those connections. Let's see a quick video on that one. Hopefully that one is going to run with sound. Let me know if you're having trouble hearing the sound. So that is a very quick demo of that feature, right? You can play with that a little bit more, and you can find that available now in the portal, and you can find also all the documentation that we required on Microsoft Learn. So with that in mind, I think those are the items that I have, and I pass it on to you, Divya, for Ignite highlights. So let me know when you're ready, and I can share your screen.
Right, yeah. Thanks, Wagner. So, in the next couple of minutes, we just want to go over some more details into the Ignite announcements. There were actually too many announcements at Ignite from our team, but here we just want to give you a glimpse into some of the highlights. And you can always go into our blogs and then see like individual features and go into the details there. So to begin with, at Ignite, we had a session and we talked about we announced a lot of these new capabilities in the session. We also had a customer who joined the stage with us and shared their story, their success story in how they started using Logic Apps and the AI capabilities, and have seen like a lot of value in building solutions using Logic Apps, and are already running like many of their AI workloads in production. So we had two customers who shared their story on the stage. We have a number of customers who also endorsed, and we you can go into our session and see like there are many customers, many enterprises of all sizes from different industries leveraging Logic Apps. So here is the QR code for the session for those who want to watch it offline. And but we had limited time in the session, so here we just want to go into that demo and some of the capabilities in more details. So I think the one of the top announcements we had was around the general availability of Agent Loop. So many of you who are using this capability know that we announced this in preview at Build, and over the last few months we actually learned a lot from our customers, from you, in terms of like the improvements we need to do, as well as many customers who were excited about it and were ready to go into production, wanted to know when will GA hit. So we are very happy to share that Agent Loop is in GA, which means that you can build autonomous workflows, autonomous agents, conversational agents, and take them into production with this GA support. Then another one that I want to explicitly call out is for a lot of our customers who are on consumption or who start in consumption, we're looking for the ability to use these agentic capabilities also in a non-frictional way where you can quickly get started and leverage all the consumption benefits along with these agentic capabilities. So now we have Agent Loop available in consumption as well. So let's jump into the some of the demos and quickly see how this all looks like. So I want to just start first with what what does this look like in consumption, right? So the intent had been like our consumption offering, that there is low barrier to entry. And how what we mean specifically from AI point of view here is that now when you want to create a workflow in consumption Logic Apps, you can simply um, give the name here, of course, Divya Agent Loop Demo. And then we today at the moment we have it deployed in a couple of regions which we have documented. West US is one of them. So now you see an option to choose a default is of course stateful workflow, but you can also choose autonomous or conversational agent. So for the purposes of demo, I'll just go ahead and create a conversational agent here. And once this agent creation is completed, then we'll open the workflow, and what we'll see here is a workflow with a trigger, which will be the A2A trigger, and the placeholder for the agent loop action. So for those who have used in Logic App Standard, you would have noticed that once you see this agent loop action, you do need to create a connection to your source of the model, which is Azure OpenAI. Bring that model in. So you need to have your OpenAI or your Foundry project. You need to have the model deployed, and then you can, sort of like get started here. But in consumption, we are basically doing a we are hosting the model on behalf of you, just like we do hosting, we host compute and we host any other infrastructure. So it is very easy to get started here. You do not have to do any model provisioning. uh, and then, so the only thing you need to provide here is instructions, right? And you have a reasoning model that is good to go. You can, of course, add tools to the agent loop for scenarios where you want to take action. So just for the purpose of this demo, I'll give a very simple instruction here. You have an agent that helps plan, trips and meals, specifically vegan options. All right, so that's all we had to do, and now we have this agent ready who can answer our questions. Help, what let's ask, what is a good time to travel to Iceland? So I think that's the idea, that here you have this agent who is ready to go, and then you can iterate over it, add more tools and so on. And combining this with the demo that Wagner showed a couple of minutes back on cloning these apps from consumption to standard. So as you can of course start from consumption, but if you find needs where you need to scale, or where you want to have tools that are behind VNet, then you can quickly clone these apps from consumption to standard, and go from there. All right, so that was our first feature. And let's move on to the second demo here. So this is again a demo we did at Ignite, but I do want to spend a little bit more time here on this forum and go into the features in more details. So as you can see, this is a multi-agent workflow, and this specific agent is basically helping an organization like Contoso IT in doing IT operations activity. And so we have here a categorization agent, which basically takes in the request from the user and categorizes and then hands it over to different specialized agents. So I have only two agents here, but you can, for your organization, you could have like multiple specialized agents here, each doing its own thing. So that's what is very easy with Logic Apps, where we have, for example, this categorization agent, and to the agent we are again providing model as well as system instructions, which basically describe what the agent should do and how it should interact with the user, how it should categorize the requests. So we basically ask this agent to categorize the request and send them either to the onboarding or compliance. And that, how to do the handoff, is something that we describe in the handoff section. So here in a very natural language format, we are telling this agent to do the handoff to onboarding from categorization, and it should do that when there are questions about the devices. Again, like for compliance agent, we are doing something similar, that we are asking the agent to hand off to the compliance agent from categorization when there are questions around secret management and secret expiration. The other thing that I want to call out, which is quite important, especially when you're working with multiple agents, is that uh, your tokens are expensive, right? So you want to optimize, and not every agent needs to have same kind of models. So here, like with different specialized agent, you have the flexibility to give different models based on what they are doing. somebody, an agent who's doing deep research, deep analysis, might need a more powerful reasoning agent, versus some an agent like here, the categorization can actually is doing somewhat a simpler task and can go with a less powerful model as well. And so that's what I have here. Like in here you can see that I've connected this agent to actually a model that I have deployed locally. So it's a local model, and the way I've done it is, we are still bringing in the UI support for this, but here I have basically configured this agent to use my locally deployed model. So again, like, you can get the best results and also optimize your tokens cost and utilization through this. Another way to bring in models that we have enabled in this release is through AI Gateway. So you can bring models directly, of course, directly from Foundry, but you can also host them behind AI Gateway and then bring them into Logic App's agent loop through AI Gateway. So now when you go into Azure agent model source, you will see the option to bring models directly from OpenAI or from APIM Gen AI Gateway. This is, of course, in public preview at the moment, but the idea is that have your models behind AI Gateway so that you can do, uh, you know, you can have more control on the token utilization. You can have policies defined around the token consumption. You can also take advantage of semantic caching. So all the features that AI Gateway offers, and have agent loop, use models behind your AI Gateway. So this was again something that a lot of customers had asked us, that they wanted to use, because of the organization policies they have. They wanted to use the um, models behind AI Gateway. All right, so that's our categorization agent. We've talked about model sources and different model sources, how you can do the handoff between these agents. So now let's take a look at each of these agents in a little bit more detail. So here I have a compliance agent. The goal of this agent is to basically help with secret update, and then we have defined the steps or the policies uh, around which how it should do the update, right? So it needs to use. We are using ServiceNow as a way to manage this entire process. The whole idea is that even though agent is doing it, we have full auditability and traceability into every step that agent takes. So that's what we have specified here, that when it goes ahead and creates these secret updates, it needs to capture all those steps into ServiceNow, if it goes ahead and does those updates. In terms of the tools that the agent is using, the one that I specifically want to call out here is the MCP. So now in agent loop, you can use MCP as tools. And so if you go here in the tool section, you can add both actions, but you can also bring in MCP servers. And these MCP servers can be the out of box MCP servers that we offer, and there are quite a few of them. But you can also bring in your own MCP custom servers and add to the agent loop. So here we had actually, Kent has a demo on this, on how you can convert Logic Apps workflows and Logic Apps connectors as MCP servers. So this is one of the servers he created for ServiceNow, which I'm using here in this demo. You've seen in multiple demos we've done before where we use human in the loop through Teams Adaptive Card. So that's what we have going on here. And then let's go into our second agent, which is the onboarding agent here. So this agent basically helps with device updates and device onboarding. So for this one, one thing that I want to call out is this uh, AI search tool. So here we are basically uh, retrieving the company policies around the device upgrade. And the idea here is that the device upgrade options that are provided to the user are different based on the role they are in, based on the teams they are in. And to accomplish that, what I have done is that as a preparation step to this demo, we had different policy documents that I ingested into AI search. But as part of that ingestion, I also used, or I also associated the permissions or the user groups for those documents. So now in for the search and retrieval, I'm using my index and I'm providing the search query that the user is giving. But I have this filter condition here. So here you can see that we are using this principal ID, which is the user ID that is available now within this workflow, that you can use as a way to only query, or as a way to only get the documents in the context of the signed in user. You could also use group IDs here. So for the signed in user, you can get their group IDs and do this filtering based on group IDs as well. But for the simplicity, I went with user IDs here. So we have all the lab documents around it. But basically, the whole idea is that these agents can work in the context of the signed in user, as well as they can retrieve documents from your vector stores in the context of that signed in user. So very powerful, allows you to give only what an agent should have access to in a secure manner. One last thing that I want to call out here is that uh, here I'm using the Salesforce as a way to create orders when the user is ready to order. And here we have per user connection for Salesforce. So we had released the support for on behalf of authentication for first party connectors couple of months back. But at Ignite, we also announced the support for on behalf of authentication for third party connectors. So this again allows you to use like all these first party third party services in the context of the signed in user. So I, I think, yeah, I think I probably have covered everything. One last thing, because this question comes up a lot, is that you can see that in terms of the tools that I have for agent loop here, you can add the out of box connectors, you can add MCP servers, and you can also add another agent as a tool. So you can have nested agent as tools, and that allows you to build those supervisor patterns where you have a supervisor and then you have different agents that work within that for that supervisor towards a common goal or common task. So those are also possible here. All right, so let's go ahead and run this agent. So here, let me go ahead and create a new chat, and I'll just use the agent here to and ask some questions. All right, so let's ask our first question where, so I want to, okay, I have a lot of things here going on. So the first question that I'm asking is around the secret update. And we so in this case, the agent is going to basically fetch the company policy and then look at all the secrets that need to be updated. So here we have a secret that needs to be updated because it's going to expire soon. And so let me go ahead and ask the agent to update this. So what's happening here is that because the agent needs to go through the human approval, it's going to send a note on Teams to get the human approval to go ahead and update this secret. So here I am in my Teams and I've got this request to approve this secret. So I'll go ahead and approve this. And after this, the agent is going to capture each and every step that it's taking into ServiceNow, And that's what we see here, that the ITSM ticket was created. It was after it was approved by me, and then this is the updated secret. And after all of this, the ServiceNow incident is closed. So here I am in ServiceNow. Let's go ahead and quickly see that. Yeah, so this is the one that we just created. And so here, as you can see, we have full, traceability, auditability into every step that the agent was doing. And it also captures, that this went through an approval process, and then only it was updated. All right, so let's go ahead and try another one, which is to ask the agent to help us with some device updates. All right, so here I am asking the agent to show me all the devices and the options here for the update. All right, I think something is off here, but I was expecting, let me just pull up previous chat. So I was basically expecting a list of all the devices here, a list of all the devices that I have to be shown here. And then, in the interest of time, I'm not going to go further in this, but then we would have gotten a prompt to complete the in app authentication with the Salesforce, because I'm using a dynamic connection here, and then create an order in Salesforce. So, but you can look at our Ignite demo where we showed all of this. But one last thing that I do want to cover is just how all the handoff here works between between the agents through run history. So run history is very useful here, right? Because it shows you all the activity that is going on, as well as the handoff as well. So here you can see that all the interactions that is happening along with the tools that are being used. In the case of MCP, it used ServiceNow to list records, create records. And then finally, when we had a question around the device updates, then the agent did the handoff to the categorization agent, who then again did the handoff back to the onboarding agent. So you can see all the agent interaction through the agent log and through the tools that are being invoked here. And one last thing that I want to show here is that now we have the support to deploy these agents to other surface areas, including Microsoft Teams. So here I have the same agent that I was showing you. I've deployed it into Microsoft Teams, and then I've asking the same questions here to this agent as well, in terms of taking its help to upgrade the devices or to update the secrets. All right, so with that, I think let me just summarize what we just saw. So here is just a brief overview into all the features that we have we have announced at Ignite. I won't go into the detail here, but take a look at our blogs, and here are all the features. There is a lot that we have announced. So yeah, check out our blogs, check out our demos if you're interested more into these features. All right, so I'll hand off to Ken now.
So Divya, there was a few questions. If you want to just hang tight here.
Okay.
The first one was from Mike. It was, let me find it here. So for conversational agent, When does it stop running? We can add a terminate tool, but only if the user requests to quit. Any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, by default, I think I need to check back with the team. We have set a number of days. I don't quite remember if it is 30 or 60 days. So it runs for that duration of time. Adding a terminate tool is one option to like explicitly explicitly terminate it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I did share a video. I did a video on this on my YouTube channel as well. I guess the one thing to emphasize with folks is that this isn't costing you money. This isn't burning tokens when this happens, right? So the whole idea with these conversations is that they are durable. And so for those reasons, you could actually close your web browser, come back the next day, find that chat that you were using and start communicating. And so that's why you still see them running. And so that's why the behavior is the way it is. Now, I did discuss in that video that the terminate tool can be used, but there's some trade-offs with that and something I would be careful with. And it's one of those things where I think people just perceive that, oh, this is burning costs or burning CPU. And that's not really the case. We are persisting that instance in storage, and it's basically sitting idle. If you're a biz talker, you know, like hydration, rehydration, it's kind of like that. So that's, I guess, one thing to be aware of. Another question from Mike was just around how to sort of manage our tokens efficiently, or what are some best practices to reduce excess token usage? Did you have any thoughts around that one, Divya?
Um, yeah, I think one of the things with Logic Apps connectors is this advantage, right? Because you can chain multiple steps in our tool block. The benefit there is that you have control on uh, filtering what you're getting out of your data sources, out of your documents, and then have like those steps around parsing those documents or filtering the records, and only only provide to the agent what's the most relevant. So uh, in a tool block, in agent loop, in a tool block, the outcome of that tool block is the last step. Whatever is the output of the last step is what is fed into the agent loop. So that gives you a lot of control in terms of what you want to give back to the agent loop, right? You might have a step, for example, to get orders from, let's say, SQL, but then you can have like following steps in the same tool block and do some business logic, or apply some business logic and filter the records, and hence then you can only send back those records to the agent loop. So that is one way where you can chain steps and reduce the tokens consumption, reduce the content that goes to your agent. The other one is for unstructured documents. You can, a lot of times, like when small documents, we might think that we can provide policy documents and everything as is to the agent as text. But if you index them into vector stores, then that also allows you to basically get only the relevant chunks and pass only those relevant chunks back to the agent. So that's why that's also recommended, especially when you're dealing with large number of documents or like unstructured data, to not provide like the entire documents, entire data, and use like these vector stores to again sort of like filter and control what you give back to the agent.
Yeah,
Uh,
no,
Anything
makes sense.
else, Kent, you want to add here?
No, I had kind of some of the same suggestions. So I guess the one thing to note is at the end of the tool chain, it's that last connector that its payload gets sort of returned, back to the model. So using compose and sort of aggregating and sort of filtering your data set is a good thing to do. And then also parse a document is huge. Anytime you are doing anything with like a Word document, an HTML document, use parse a document, and it'll actually reduce the size greatly. So I think those are great tips. And you love the ingestion and vectorization as well. So we have a couple other ones. Maybe we can do rapid fire here, Divya, just in the interest of time.
Yeah.
They're related to the consumption tier. So is model selection from Foundry available for consumption logic apps?
No, so consumption is we are hosting models on behalf of you, so we will not be exposing models to the user here
And if
in
folks want more control, they can use
most
standard,
cases.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then any sort of limitations around consumption support for agent loop versus say standard?
So our intent will be to have full parity between standard and consumption, but since we've just released it, we don't yet have MCP. We are working on it, so it will be available soon. Um, and I think the action to use agents in a nested way in agent loop is also not yet available, but we are working on it. So things that these are few things that we don't yet have but will be available soon. The new designer also is not yet there in consumption. We are working on it. So feature wise, we intend to keep the parity. Um, but naturally, like all connect the built-in connectors, the what consumption doesn't support are like built-in things, vnet, running things at scale. So for those, it's going to be same for AI as well.
Yeah, that's understandable. Now, this one, is it possible to use a tool agent that takes a long time when it finishes, it triggers the workflow continue? So I was kind of reading this question and I kind of thought like multi-agent might be a way to solve this because you can delegate some actions to a sub-agent and that can be long running. And then once it's done processing, return back to the other agent as well. So that might be one way to address this need. Any additional thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's supported by our platform, right? But and
Right.
like Ken said, there are multiple ways to achieve it. If you're okay to wait, you can have it in the same agent. If you want to do things in parallel, you can have it in multiple agents.
Yeah, and I was thinking like worst case, if it was autonomous, you could always put a queue in between these
Yeah.
autonomous agents if you kind of worst case. And then last one, this is more I think future. So this we'll talk a little bit about this on the my section where we talk about control plane. Yeah, there is plans for Logic Apps agents to have an identity in Entra ID, much like other agent platforms as well. So more to come on that front as well. Okay, so I'll share my screen here, and Harold, I'll try to keep it quick here, just in the interest of time. And I might have to remove, add. Okay. All right, so I've got just a couple things I want to talk about, just related to Foundry. So we often get asked the question of like, okay, what's the relationship between Logic Apps and Foundry, and when should I be using, each of these technologies? And the answer really is we are better together. This is not an or question where it's like, oh, am I going to use just Foundry or just Logic Apps? We sit in the same org. We are working on like the same goals in terms of enabling customers to be successful with AI. And you will find that we bring this better together experience. So one of the experiences I'm going to show you here quickly is a demo that came from another session at Ignite, just related to how we can use the agent service connector to call an agent inside of Foundry. And on the left-hand side, we can kind of see maybe a traditional process where we're using a Logic app to perform some automation, and then we hand off to a human to do a bunch of manual work. And the idea is now we can actually go ahead and have an agent go ahead and perform that work for us instead. So I'm just going to flip over to the use case. So this would be sort of your traditional process where, in this case, we're going to listen for events from ServiceNow. We'll go do some lookups on the data, and then we're going to send an adaptive card for a human to go ahead and do some work. They'll check to see this particular product return, if it's valid for a discount, a retention bonus, and then send an email to the customer. So the idea now is we can go ahead and use an agent to help with that. And in this case, we've got a Logic app that's a stateful workflow where we're going to once again get the request from ServiceNow. We're going to do some lookup, and then we're going to go ahead and call an agent. Now, might be saying, okay, well, why can't I just do this in Foundry? And sort of one of the sort of value adds that we add as a platform is we've got that large library of connectors. And in this particular use case, we've got triggers, right? So in this case, we are listening for an event over an HTTP call, and it's not a user initiated from a chat session. So this would be one of those use cases where you could go ahead and use a workflow that'll go ahead and call into the agent service itself. We'll get the response from the agent service, and then we'll email the customer directly. So instead of a human determining whether or not this is a valid return scenario, we actually let an agent to go ahead and do that. Obviously, we provide the guidance and the guardrails for the agent to make that decision, and then we can automate that process. So if I go, oh great, so I got to log in here. So if I go into ServiceNow here, I'll be able to create a new product return issue. So we'll just go ahead and click here. We're going to say our caller is Nathan Miller. Our assignment group is customer service. And we'll just say there's a damaged product. And as part of a retention process, we want to make sure this customer's happy. So this is where we'll go ahead and leverage an agent to sort of help qualify whether that's the case or not. So if we head over to our run history here, we should see that this has fired, 12:53, just a few seconds ago. And as we go ahead and look through the actual workflow execution, we can see we've gotten more details about the customer and the details. And here's an example of sort of aggregating that information in a compose that we then actually send over to this agent. So we can see all of the details about the ticket, and then we can see the response that comes back from that particular agent, and we'll go ahead and send an email off to the customer. So in this case, I've just done some parsing here just to kind of simplify things, but we can see that we're going to give the customer 20% off their next purchase, and here's the discount code that they can go ahead and use from that perspective. So this is an example, once again, of better together, leveraging logic apps for our strengths in terms of connectors, and then also, being able to tap into the Foundry ecosystem, in this case, building that agent there. Now, the other better together story I wanted to talk a little bit about was the control plane. Now, if we think about agents, obviously you have choices as a customer. These could be Copilot Studio. These could be Azure Logic Apps agents. This could be SRE agents. These could be Foundry agents. These could also be third party, from a competing platform. So from an organization perspective, you want to be able to control these agents, and that includes observability, defining agent controls. What are sort of the guardrails? What are the things that you can do? What are the things you can't do? How do you impose security and authentication schemes that are consistent? How do you command your fleet? Like, hey, if you need to turn something off because it's doing something it shouldn't, how can you go centrally do that? And then how do you unify this governance across these different platforms? And so this is something that you've probably heard a little bit at if you're following Ignite. And once again, we want to demonstrate from a Logic Apps perspective that when you're building in Logic Apps and you're building these agentic processes, you still tap into the broader Foundry ecosystem. And so this is just an example of that. So here I'm in the new Foundry experience, and I've clicked on the Operate link, and I've been able to click into Assets, and I've got a subscription in scope, and I can choose different source. So in this case, we see Logic Apps Agent Loop shows up, SRE Agent shows up, Foundry shows up. If I wanted to register, say, like a third party from another public cloud, I could click on the Register Agent button and go through a wizard to go do that. We do see some properties here. This is a work in progress. We will be emitting all of this data and populating these in the near future. But for now, one of the things I can immediately go do is click into the status of an agent. In this case, it's this Woodgrove Bank. And I can go ahead and stop this agent if I want to. I can go ahead and click and view the source. So basically deep link right into that particular agent. I can observe any sort of alerts and activities, errors, etc. Now, just to kind of show how this works in action, here I'm going to go ahead and run this particular agent. And I want to go ahead and get the account and portfolio information for a customer. This is a wealth management agent. And so this is going to go ahead and fire and connect to Salesforce and connect to the portfolio system. and retrieve all of this information. Now, if I want, if I'm sort of an admin and I want to get some oversight in terms of what this agent is actually doing, that's where I head back to this Foundry control plane. I can actually click on this particular agent itself and see the traces that show up here. And so here we can see the traces that are taking place. And we can go ahead and, so these numbers look familiar, right? These are our run IDs coming from Logic Apps. So I can go ahead and click on a particular run and see all of the underlying calls that took place, right? So these are calls against tools. These are calls against our management API. These are calls against the LLM. And so once again, this gives you this assurance that when you're building agent loop solutions, that you're not missing out on the broader ecosystem that's found in Microsoft Foundry itself. So just wanted to share that information. This is in public preview. We're going to continue to invest in this and update this, but do look for updates in the new year, as this is something that's actively in flight. All right, so let me remove my screen. And then I guess, Harold, let's get you set up here. And do you have a screen to share here, Harold?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me see, how can I do this? Video file, image file, share screen.
And then, are you able to go a few minutes over if need be?
Yeah, just a few minutes. Yeah. I don't want.
We're happy to stick around. I know there's some other questions here. We're happy to stick around after and answer those questions too.
So can you see my content now?
Okay, there we go. I will remove myself and take it away.
Fantastic, thank you. So I just wanted to spend a few minutes talking about hybrid and connector updates. I'm also driving what we call Bespoke migration, and this is just a reminder that the mainstream mandate of Bespoke 2020 is on April 11, 2028, right? So it's what is it? Is it 2 years and a half, right? So then in that spirit, we have introduced about 6 months ago what we call the Logic Apps hybrid in deployment model as generally available. So we invite you to test it, to use it for your Bespoke implementations on premises. We built this hybrid model for local processing, for regulatory compliance reasons, for financial services scenarios, for healthcare, and for Bespoke migration. So we have updated our docs to reflect, mappings between features, and definitely we've been working actively to incorporate a lot of what the great work that Bespoke did into Logic Apps, and wherever we needed to make adjustments to make sure that our Logic Apps standard can work efficiently and in the same manner as in the cloud and on your own environment, then we've done that as well. So that was it. That was it for Logic Apps hybrid, the hybrid deployment model. Also, I wanted to let you know, and I think I can't recall if I discussed this in a previous session, but we have a private preview for MLLP, for an MLLP connector, right? So if you are not aware of what MLLP is MLLP stands for minimum lower layer protocol, which is basically a protocol for transporting HL7 messages over TCP, right? During the nature of this model, we are introducing it first in Logic Apps hybrid. So then for use MLLP, for using, because of the nature of the networking nature of the protocol, we have already shipped an HL7 connector in public preview. So I also invite you to use it, to test it, to just test your HL7 messages. If you are interested in having access to the MLLP private preview, there is a link, aka.ms/private MLLP, and we will reach out to you, and we will let you know when we will share the information for you to have access to this private bundle. One last thing is that we have 2 more private previews available for customers who want to test Oracle DB. So Oracle database built-in action. I just built in the wrong place. So you can request access to our Oracle database built-in action in private preview now via this link. And also, we have updated our rules engine built-in action in private preview as well. This is the location where you can use it. If you are a user of the rules engine, whether it is today in using the VS Code experience, or it is because you are using Beanstalk and you are migrating to Logic Apps, so then I invite you to go and test this this private preview. Please, you can request it at those links, and I will be happy to sharing that information with you. And that's it. That's it from me, Kent.
All right. Any, I guess, closing thoughts here?
I think there is I thought there was on mute. I think there is one interesting one for us to just talk super quick, which is this Christmas wish from Hitcha, right? So that's probably something that is in some people's mind. Like I have more of a wish than a question. I hope AI features will be one of many. Harold just proved that that's the case, right? It's like and the new designer is another example. But any other thoughts from you guys on that one?
Yeah, I would say just continue to share feedback. I think what we're always interested in is how do we drive impact for customers, and certainly a lot of that has been driven from AI. AI is going to continue to be a focus, is without question. It's a strategy of the company, and really we want to ensure that our customers are able to move their investments forward. But give us feedback. What are the things that are still missing or could be improved? You said it perfectly. Harold showed that we are working on some other things as well, and that's as a result of feedback. Hybrid was a result of BizTalk migration and people needing better support for local processing. The MLLP and HL7 is a result of customers in the healthcare industry saying, "Hey, we need connectivity to those systems, even though those are historically legacies type systems." So please continue to give the feedback, and where we can provide customer impact is where we'll focus.
That's pretty true. And the other area that you continue to add improvements is the things that is going to impact all of the features, be that AI focus or not, right? The developer experience, designer, the revamped designer is a really good example, right? We're doing all of that to improve the overall experience. We're doing some updates on the VS Code experience really soon to support better onboarding and things like that. So you continue to work on that. New features, all driven by customer feedback, but also experience end to end are things that you continue focusing all the time. Harold, Divya, anything that you guys want to add?
I'm going to let Divya to say anything else, Divya, before I say something.
No, I think you've covered it well.
So one thing to add is just, as Ken mentioned, we are still growing on the enterprise application integration space, right? I mean, that's one of our core, the spirit of the product, right? I mean, we're growing in AI and in all of the new features and the great capabilities, we have not stopped in growing, meeting all of the customers where they are. Okay, I think if, as Ken said, and Wagner as well, so if you have any further feedback or needs, let us know. We will be happy to hear from you.
That's true. One thing to just to remind everyone, as we just before we depart, we don't have a Logic Apps live at the end of December, right? We already have count that as November and December. Everyone wants to be on holiday, so it would be like us, or not even us, a bot running that and no one watching. So we're going to come back in January, end of January, so with more updates and news. In the meantime, try to enjoy the holiday season. I know that here in New Zealand, most of people take extended holiday and enjoy summer. You guys are going to be enjoying hopefully a cozy gathering with family and your loved ones. So yes, thanks for another great year on the community, and see you guys next year. Kent, Harold, Divya, with you.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Yeah, happy New Christmas.
Yeah. See you later, and thank you. Bye bye.